Hello and welcome to Fan Formula on Sunday after China. Sorry, Jill needs to try and keep weight down so I don't graze. Not sure whether it's a particularly healthy habit to have, but it helps. Anyway, where was I? Grand Prix China. That's it. Anyway, what is your opinion on Vettel's comments over team radio in reference to team orders? I'm never much of a fan of Vettel, but kudos for him for offering the hot fuzz equivalent jog on sort of thing. I don't like it when they do team orders, whichever team that is. I don't like it when team orders are in a fashion where it's like, okay, you have to back off completely and let the other person walk around the side of you. I can't stand team orders like that, whichever team it is, whether it's a team I like or hate. If you're going to have team orders, at least you've got to work for it. So I liked Vettel's mentality in relation to that. I think it was right. I didn't quite catch the full thing that was going on because, well, as I mentioned, I've been decorating all over the weekend, so I was putting things back in place and putting things back up on the walls, etc. So I didn't quite catch all of it, but from what I caught, I appreciate Vettel saying just to he's got to work for it. No matter how much I dislike the guy, it's a fair point, very well made. I'm not a fan of team orders at all. I'd probably change my tune if it was to get Williams into the lead and to win, etc. But I appreciate it's to maximise points and to make sure someone gets in the best position possible for the constructors. But a waste of time. Most of the fans don't like them. Some of the Uber fans who can't think beyond F1, who have to do their race report for about a race that's about to happen in about 6 races time. People who just can't switch off, can't see, probably cannot stand, can't see the logic behind them. Could be worse, I guess. But wish they can the bloody things again. It just ruins it for me. Anyway, next one. Commentary teams are already ruling out any other teams aside from Mercedes winning titles this year. Is it too early for these comments? Yes. Categorically, it is too early to say that Mercedes, the team Mercedes, they're going to win. I must stress, I mean just in relation to the Mercedes team. Pain on my watch strap. Why I stress that point? It's too early to say Mercedes, Petronas, Mercedes AMG Grand Prix, whatever they're calling themselves, the Lewis Hamilton Rosberg team. It's wrong to say that they're going to win, because we saw last year how Red Bull came back from being a bit shit and came back to dominate and then take all the fun out of it. Although they had the best car, what else were they meant to do with it? But it's perhaps not too early to say that Mercedes power will win. Now, I wish Williams were up there to be added into this at the moment, but unfortunately, out of the Mercedes-powered teams, one above bottom at McLaren at bottom at the moment. But it's not too early to say Mercedes power could win, because Williams could tap into the potential that's in that car that I know is there. But they could unlock it. Force India could make a massive step forward. McLaren could make an even bigger step forward. We just don't know. But I don't think it's too early to say Mercedes power is going to win. But Mercedes as a team, far too early to say that. Next question: whose performance impressed you today and why? Good question. I've got to say Alonso. For, well, that Ferrari's a heap of junk at the moment, really. But he did well with it. Well, I like to have a couple of people to say for the driver day, but no one really stood out for me. I'd have to give some of it to Bottas, some of the driver day accolade to Bottas for finishing in 7th. So another points, finish the points are not just the occasional drip-fed points that Bruno Senna managed with the 34, which was sort of 1 or 2 points here and there, that sort of scoring 7th and 8th fairly regularly. It's a good chunk of points for the team. Without pausing this video to have a massive look into it, I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're significantly up on where they were with the FW34. I think they are significantly further up the order than what they were with the 34 at the moment. To get to sort of be at the same place where they are, you've got to be going back to probably 26, 27, I think. But Bottas put in a solid drive. Hulkenberg another solid drive. Maybe those two are a little bit anonymous, but I sort of have to put it between Alonso, Hulkenberg, and Bottas, with Alonso taking the vast majority of the accolades for that one. Bonus question: the first section of new F1 is complete with the European season up next. Are you happy with the new F1, or have changes had little to effect to the racing? I like the changes. Maybe not so much of a fan of the noses, which I dubbed in one of my videos for Velocity Connected's the wing and wang approach. Must say I'm not a massive fan of the looks, but I like how it's creating a bit of diversity. So you've got the wing and wang noses, you've got the sort of more anteater style nose on the on things like on the Williams, and the nice and subtle approach on the Red Bull and the Marussia. You've got the, what's it, WTF1? Someone who often makes satire at Formula 1 dubbed the other noses the vacuum noses, which maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but it's creating a huge amount of diversity. You've got the walrus nose of the walrus-esque nose of the Lotus. The Lotus just reminds me of a scene out of Red vs Blue when Sarge first introduces the Warthog. I can't really do a very good Sarge. The Warthog. See these toe hooks? They look like tusks. Red vs Blue stuff aside, it's just creating a huge amount of diversity. I like the new sounds. They could have sounded a lot worse, and it boggles the mind. To me, it massively boggles the mind. People complaining about, oh, the sound is not very much. Did no one have a fucking clue to cram an engine in the back of one of the old cars and see what it sounded like on a track? Did no one think about doing that? Even the FIA paying Mercedes or Ferrari or Renault, so if you've got a unit, put it in the back of one of your cars, run it in a practice session, we're going to see what the noise sounds like. Did no one have that idea? And, you know, I also mentioned the Velocity Kinetics video. You could have used supercharging. That would have sounded worse. Supercharging, to me, doesn't make sense for Formula 1. I don't like the sound very much of supercharging. There are a few exceptions to that rule. Jaguar, and their V8 sound gorgeous supercharged. Vauxhall VX8 Bathurst edition. And I think there's a supercharged version of the Marlou and the Monaro VXR 500. Corvette ZR1. There's basically a lot of deep, throaty, growly V8s that are supercharged. That makes sense. They sound nice to me. I'd say Koenigsegg, but there's no supercharger whine as such. You just hear a scream of someone as they go down whatever it is they're driving down. But the rules and people complaining about lack of noise at things, it boggles my mind. Like I say, no one thought to try and run an engine in a practice session first, see what they sound like. Granted, it would have been sort of a mishmash of, you know, they wouldn't have had the full ERS unit ready, probably, they wouldn't have had the gearboxes ready, etc. But they could have just done what they could to try and just shove one in to see what it sounds like. But also, you know, you're using, rather than in the older Noel aspirator, you're dumping exhaust gases straight out the manifold, out the wastegate, out the exhaust. It makes noise, nice noise. Aside from when they were blowing the diffuser, that sounded god awful. I absolutely hated that. No one stopped to think we're going to turbocharge. It's going to go quiet, isn't it? It's like on the road again. Pagani's on the F makes a very old F1 V10 V8 style scream because it's naturally aspirated. When they brought out the Huayra, granted it's a twin turbo unit, so it's not quite as, it's a twin turbo unit, so basically twice as many turbos, twice as many cylinders. and getting on for about 3 times the displacement of the F1 engine, but the Wyra is a very muted sound, and the Veyron and the Bugatti Veyron with all its turbos and things, that's also a very muted sound for all its cylinders and power. It's very muted, and the Bugatti EB110 from years ago, that was also very muted. With the V6 turbo, we could have very easily ended up with a clattery old V6 that sounded like what's in the back of a Jaguar XJ220. It could have been awful, and I think it's fantastic what we got. People seem to forget that some of the what does the feature the BBC used to do? Classic F1, or basically like, run through some races at that track, or what was the Grand Prix for that country from different years. You can there are Grand Prix from different eras, like the Turbo Honda Williams and the Turbo McLarens, etc. You can hear the crowd screaming. The engines are quite muted. No one seems to care. I heard the FIA are thinking about doing what they can to increase the engine noise, but I'm not sure how they're going to do it. Granted, I'm not an engineer, so I can't say how they're going to do it. The only way I can think of making it work is some sort of 2-stage exhaust, where some of it just dumps straight out and some of it goes through your turbo before being dumped out. Or decreasing the turbo pressure and reboring the engines a little bit, but they've seemed to the manufacturers spent millions on these engines already. Can they not just leave them how they are? I like how the new engines sound. I wish it was a bit more competitive all round. As in, I wish that the sort of all the Ferraris are a bit the Ferrari powers. Oh, it's Ferrari power up there. All the Renault powers up there. Rather than it's Mercedes at the top. Which Mercedes power is going to be second? I wish it was a little more mixed up, but I like it. Not a massive fan of the ERS, it must be said, but it's energy that can be recovered. It's energy that can be used, and if it can be used to enhance the fun, like it is in the McLaren P1, like it is in the Porsche 918, and like it's going to be in the Ferrari LaFerrari, why not? Why not exactly? I realise that was a bit of a whiny last question for me, unusually whiny, but it's just a subject that grinds my gears a lot. And if you saw my last post for the Velocity Connectors when I was using the green screen, that one was exceptionally whiny. A lot more fuck this and fuck that. But it's a subject that winds me up. But anyway, I'll have to sign off the video because I've rambled a hell of a lot. Keep an eye out on the Velocity Kinetics side of things. I am going to be doing some more stuff soon. More green screening, hopefully some more stuff with Russ. At the moment it's sort of a bit beta-ish really, as in I have a couple of subjects I want to talk about, do a tiny bit of research on it, is it enough to know what I'm talking about, and then speak. I don't work with any script, I improv it, very little pre-prep aside from thinking, which I didn't do today. But we'll see. Just keep an eye on that, and hope everyone has a good week. Take care of yourselves. I've now got another 2 days off, so I think I'm going to fire up. Do I fire up Metal Gear Solid 4, or do I go on GTA 5? Or Halo? Oh, I got Gears of War to finish as well. And Assassin's Creed. First world problems. Anyway, see you later.